speaker today is Connie McEldowney from Rustic, Ohio. Now, Connie and her husband Craig, along with their 8 children, have been welcoming needy people into their home for years. But in 2001, Connie became motivated to start helping pregnant women in a different way while praying at this abortion clinic with members of her parish. In that, as she said, in that 1 hour, 15 girls went in, but they didn't look like I thought they would look. I thought they would look evil, but they looked like my daughter, my sister. They looked scared. No one looked like they wanted to be there. They wore sunglasses, kept their hoodies down, their heads down, and their hoodies up. Now, through prayer, she came to the conclusion that a viable option needed to be made available because too often women were made to believe that abortion was the cheap and easy solution to an unplanned pregnancy. Since then, she established Rustic Hope, The Shed, and St. Paul's Place. From the very first phone call a young woman receives from Connie to when that young woman can successfully live by herself with her child, Rustic Hope supports and values her and her child because every life matters. Connie likes to quote Mother Teresa's saying, 3 things in human life are important. First, be kind. Second, be kind. And third, be kind. We are very blessed to have Connie be here with us today to share her story with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. First little correction, we now have 11 children, so I don't know what happened there. We just keep adopting. Like she said, my name is Connie, and 13 years ago, I came here for the first time to pray, and I remember I met Vivian, and she went over the rules, you know, stay on the sidewalk, don't step on the grass, and went over everything, and I had my rosary in hand, and as I started to walk away, she said something that just stung. She said, oh, by the way, it's Wednesday. It's killing day. And I mean, I knew what they did here. I knew why I was here. But to think that every single mom that was going through that front door was here to have their baby murdered just tore my heart out. So I spent that hour walking up and down the sidewalk praying, as all of you have done, except for one little thing. I didn't pray. I didn't realize it until I left. When I got back in my van, hung my rosary on my rearview mirror, I realized I had not said one prayer because I was in shock. I watched moms who were very visibly pregnant. I watched, you know, and I was surprised by that they all went in by themselves. They all looked scared. I mean, I wasn't prepared for it. So on the way home that day from Dayton, I prayed like I'd never prayed before in my life. I mean, I sobbed and I begged God. I said, God, I don't know what I can do, but I can do something. Use me to be a better option than abortion. Well, if you've ever prayed like that, I'm going to warn you, put your seatbelt on. Because I had no agenda, I had no clue what I could do, but I was completely 100% willing to do whatever God took me through. And there is a reason God doesn't show you that big picture up front, because I might have changed my mind, because it's been a crazy ride. But from there, I started praying. And I kept praying until one day I told my husband, and this is key, women, I didn't ask, I told him, I said, honey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take these young moms in. They're going to come and live with us. If they're thinking about having an abortion, they can come live with us, and I'll drive them to doctor's appointments, and I'll teach them how to be a mom, and we'll buy them maternity clothes, or we'll help them make an adoption plan. And, you know, whatever. And he just kind of looked at me and he said, how are we going to afford this? And I said, I don't know, God's going to take care of that. And then he's like, well, how are these moms going to hear about us? We live out in Rustic in the middle of nowhere. I said, I don't know, God's going to take care of that. Truth be told, I didn't know, and God's going to take care of it is a great answer for everything. I use it still today. So God's going to take care of it, and he finally just broke down. He's like, fine, I don't care, as long as it doesn't cost anything. So that was a yes. So I came up with the name Rustic Hope, rustic because we're out in the middle of nowhere, and originally I thought rustic haven, because haven is a safe place. And then I Googled that and I found out that's a bar in St. Mary's. Rustic Haven, so I thought, no, that one wasn't from God, that was Connie. So then I prayed, God, what is it that you want us to offer these young ladies? And it was hope. Hope that they could be moms. Hope that they could make an adoption plan. Hope that they could do this. So Rustic Hope, I made up brochures. I started passing them out to high schools, OBGYN offices, job and family services, just all over. We started to get phone calls. Not from any young moms, but from teachers, from nurses, from people who cared. And they would always say the same thing. I'm not allowed to give you this information because of HIPAA and everything, but this is the girl's name. She could really use intervention. So I would reach out through Facebook, and message the girl and be able to help them that way. So we started taking moms into our home. And to date, we've taken over 50 moms into our home that have lived with us, that have given birth. I can go to the hospital with them and be their coach. Thank you very much. Be their coach with them. And some of them made adoption plans. Some of them are raising their babies. Many of the moms that we took in were homeless. And I remember one day my mom said to me, God loved my mom. She said, Connie, this isn't normal. You can't just take homeless people into your house. She's like, you're going to wake up dead one day. And being the loving daughter I am, I said, Mom, if I'm dead, I'm not going to wake up. She called me a not very nice name, but anyway. But you can do it. Who says you can't take a homeless person in? There's no rule that says you can't. You just love them through it and you pray a lot. Has it always been easy? No. Have we had some situations? Yes. That's okay. So we've had these moms coming in and living with us. Then people in our area started hearing about what we did and said, oh, that's wonderful. I always love it. Many of them would say, oh, I wish I could do that. And I'll say, why can't you? And then they walk away and they never talk to me again. But people would say, well, I love what you do. Can I send diapers? Or I have an old stroller. I have an old crib. So people started donating stuff to us. Well, before long, our garage got really crowded. And my husband is very OCD and he likes his garage. And he one day said, I can't live like this. I mean, I left him a nice little walkway from the door to the house, but it wasn't enough. He said, I need my garage. This stuff's got to go. I can't live like this. So I said, that's fine. We'll just put up a building. We'll make a store that the moms can come and shop. Because not only was I taking all these moms into our home, but other moms would call me and say, hey, I don't need a place to live, but do you have a stroller? Or can I have diapers? Or I need groceries. So 7 days a week, I would load my van up with stuff and I would drive all over and deliver all this stuff that people were donating, which was great. And to be honest, I loved doing it because I would turn on my praise and worship music and I was just serving God. It was like I was Santa Claus every day of the week, just making people's day. But I said, okay, this will be easier. We'll make a store and the moms can come here and shop. And I do have to add one quick little story here. During that time when I was delivering things all over, I had a mom call me and she said, Connie, you're bringing me diapers and you've got me groceries and I appreciate all of that, but I really need a car. I'm walking 5 miles to work and it's second shift and when I get off it's dark and I have to walk home and you just need to get me a car if you can. And I was very professional. I said, okay, honey, I'll see what I can do. And I got off the phone and I looked at my teenage daughter, pardon my language, but I said, who the hell does she think I am? I can't get her a car. Like, I can give you diapers, but I cannot get you a car. The very next day, a man called me and said, I have a car to donate. Do you have a mom that could use it? And I'm going to be honest with you. It was like God smacked me upside the head and said, I'll tell you who the hell you're not. You're not me, Connie. This is not about what you can do. This is about what God can do. To date, as of yesterday, we've just given away our 40th car to a single mom. That's God right there. If it were up to Connie, we wouldn't have given away any cars. That's huge. So of course my husband says, all right, how are we going to afford this building? You're talking $50,000 to put up a simple pole barn. And I said, God's going to take care of it. Don't worry about it. Well, through no efforts of my own, God took care of it. People did fundraisers for us. We didn't ask them to. They would just call me and say, hey, can we do a fundraiser for you? And by the time the building was done, they had raised exactly $50,000. Building's paid for. So we now have our house that takes in moms. We have the Shed, which is a store, kind of like a Goodwill. People donate stuff to it, and everything in it is free for moms in need, and dads in need, and grandparents who are raising their grandkids. Everything is free. Now, this has been going on for years, and for it to always be stocked, it's always full, but yet we have over 1,000 moms that are registered and come out there to get free diapers and to shop. That's insane. 1,000 moms. Each one of those moms, let's just say on average, have 2 kids in diapers. They're allowed 2 packs of diapers per kid per month. I don't do math, but that's a lot of diapers. That's a lot of diapers. And I would have told God, if I had seen that, there's no way we'll be able to do that. But we do it. We continue to do it. God continues to show up and provide. So 2 years ago then, everything's going good, and I'm starting to tell God, all right, this is getting a little crazy, getting a little big here, you're showing off a bit, God, just tone it down a little bit. I get a phone call from a mom who, she's married, and she and her husband cannot raise their baby. She just tells me, I'm pregnant, we can't raise our baby. Can you find someone to adopt him? And I said, sure, I can find somebody. So I met with them, and upon meeting them, I learned that both the mom and dad are autistic. So mom and dad have autism, they're married, but they're pregnant. And they were very scared that they were going to get in trouble because when they got married, their families had said, you guys can't have kids, and so in their minds, they hid it. So I said, well, I'll see what I can do. I've got couples that want to adopt, and when are you due? And she said, next week. Oh. So I went home and I prayed, and I was like, God, you got to help me find somebody. So I knew some families, I contacted some families, and every one of them said the same thing. Well, what's wrong with the baby? But does he have autism? What's his condition? I said, we don't know. And then the second thing this couple said was, we want to be in his life. We can't raise him, but we want to be able to stop and see him anytime and, come to his birthdays. And putting that out there, the families were all like, well, we don't really want them to know where we live, just to stop anytime. And so I was really struggling with this. It's like, gosh, I got to find somebody. And at the same time, I get a call from a local church, a Lutheran church that decided they had to close their doors, and they called me and asked if we would be interested in buying their building. And I said, thank you, but no. And they're like, well, don't you even want to come look at it? And I said, no, because quite honestly, I didn't want to grow. We were fine where we were at, So they kept bothering me, and then one day they called me and said, well, we've had a vote, and we decided we want to give it to you for free. It's a $250,000 church. Give it to us for free. And I was like, seriously, God, you're going to make me do this? Like, what am I going to do with the church? So at the same, we took the church, and my board and I discussed it, and we decided we use the church for classes for the moms. We offer free classes. We have had automotive classes, how to change your oil, change a flat tire, how to self-defense, first aid, Bible studies, parenting classes, you name it. We have all kind of classes there. And the main floor of the church, we took all the pews out and we made an indoor playground. So when the moms come to classes, they can bring their kids. Kids can play. They don't have to pay a babysitter. So it's just been a blessing. It's been awesome. But backing up a little bit, right when we got this church, and I'm busy, I'm literally on my hands and knees painting little roads in there for the playground and assembling playground equipment. I was crazy busy. And then this couple calls me wanting me to find someone to adopt their baby. So I called my husband, who happened to be in Mexico for work, and I'm telling him the whole story, and I said, God's got to send somebody to me to adopt this baby. And he said, Connie, we have to adopt this baby. And I said, what's this we business? Like, you don't change diapers? I don't, we can't. I'm too busy, I can't. And he's like, how can you say you're pro-life if you're not willing to take this child in? And I felt really guilty because I'm the baby woman, but I was so busy, I didn't want the baby. So as I'm driving over to this church one day, and my windows are open, and I'm yelling at God, because sometimes that's the way I pray, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm yelling at God, I'm old and I'm tired. I can't do this, I cannot take another baby. Right as I'd say, I'm old and I'm tired, I see a bald eagle flying around. And I'm one of those bird nerds, like I've sat out by lakes for hours trying to see a bald eagle, and I never have. So this is the first time I've seen a bald eagle in flight. So I pull over and get out my phone and take a picture of this eagle eating something dead in the field, you know, like nobody's gonna care but me. And then I share that picture on Facebook, and a friend of mine comments underneath, and he says, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. So I get on my phone and I look that scripture up, and it says, for those who put their hope in the Lord, I will raise you on eagle's wings. I will give you new strength. You will run and not grow weary. And I still get goosebumps every time I tell that story, because I literally just yelled at God, I'm old and I'm tired. I cannot raise another baby. And that's the scripture. And I instantly was in love with this baby. My heart just completely softened. I turned around, I went home, and I said, kids, we're adopting a baby next week. You know, so he was just out here. She just put him in the van. He's 2. That's our little crew. That's number 11. But anyway, so Rustic Hope now has our house, we have the shed, and we have St. Paul's Place. And just recently, we had a woman from the Kettering area came out and toured Rustic Hope, and she said, I just hear about it, I wanted to see what you did. And she loved it. She came back 2 weeks later, and she said, you really need more space, you're very crowded. And I was like, oh, we're fine. And she gave me $100,000. And she said, you need to build on. I got it. She paid for it. So we are in the last month of construction. We are almost in our bigger building. We built on an addition, so we now offer furniture and food and everything. We offer everything to these moms, but most importantly, I have signs all over the shed that say it's not about the diapers. It's not about giving away free stuff. It's about loving these women, because from the very first moment I stood on these steps and prayed that 13 years ago, what God has taught me most is that the best way to end abortion is by love. If we love these women and we support these women through it, that changes hearts. We want to make abortion illegal, but even deeper, we want to make it unthinkable. We want to make it so nobody could even think about having an abortion, and the best way to do that is love. So that's my whole talk in a nutshell, because it's cold out here. And thank you very much for inviting me here to talk.
Whew, that is very, very inspiring. And that is exactly what Mother Teresa says. How do we stop a woman from having an abortion? We stop her by loving her as Jesus Christ loved us. Loved us as he did to death on the cross. That we would lay our lives down for these individuals. And so, Connie, thank you very much. And thank you for listening to God. All right, now we're going to have an Ohio legislative update from Senator Niraj Antani.